Yeah. As advertised. I do think that was recorded in that setting. To my ears, which are trained, I'll have you know,
Ah,
viewer, it was. That's what it sounded like, which brings in another sense of immediacy to it. Just briefly, technically, I think even the choice of the size and shape of the building, which I'm sure was done very carefully, as kind of the perfect amount of reverb from the room in a way that brought it to life in I think the way that they were with still having the immediacy that they were looking for.
right.
Um, a little hard for me as a pastor, a person of Christian faith. Some indictment of taking away native religion and even religion from enslaved people as well. Um, but in the setting of a church too, and with a look at the cross that didn't feel unfavorable to me. We're using a church choir, so I think a nuanced and complex view.
Yeah,
There.
I think. I mean, there's definitely, so yes, there's that initial line of "they took away our gods," but there's also the sense of like sort of something, a perverted version of Christianity was introduced, which
Mm.
thank God the Black Christians have been able to like separate themselves from and be able to find the heart of the gospel under beyond that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like it's like who like we actually recently I was talking with my pastor about this recently, just about like where did this idea come from that like conversion that Christianity should be married with violence in any way, in in the sense of like what's the historical genesis of that. And so he's looking into that. But that's
Well,
yeah, I mean it breeds resentment.
Jesus has been pressed into service for the oppressor since
Right.
Constantine, and yet, as you say, the true nature of God and who I believe God to be and Jesus to be is a someone who frees the oppressed, who speaks to the slave and the marginalized, and has always been that way. And so, it is remarkable that people who have had Christianity shoved down their throats should ever find God in the midst of it. And I
Right.
think it just speaks to the goodness of the people and the goodness of the authentic Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was nervous. I didn't know how the frame drum would work. I think frame drums, they're not super tonal in a way,
No,
like,
they're not.
and I was expecting actually a more, and no disrespect is intended, a more virtuosic vocal performance.
Mm.
But it was actually powerful, but pretty straight ahead.
Yes.
It wasn't an aria, or anything like that.
Right.
I think actually one of the stars of the piece and what's clever about it is the choir arrangement, which becomes more complex as the song
Yes.
expands. And of course, as she joins the choir,
Right.
they change from I to we
Right.
as they become a community that's engaging with this stuff. Tell me, for you, Matt, what does just I'm thinking about the words, "I can't cry no more, we can't cry no more." How does that strike you? How do you feel about that in terms of this song?
I think it means multiple things. I think they're like, especially from what I hear from my Black friends that are going through this right now, in the wake of the series of things that have happened that led up to the most recent season of protest and change, is just the sense of like we don't even have the energy. Like it's so sad we don't have the energy to even be sad. You know what I mean? Like we literally we're running out of emotional energy to like apply to these kinds of situations. So that's the sort of like weary side of it, but then there's the powerful side of like we can't just be sad about this. Like, it's time to stop being sad and do something. And that's really, like, it's interesting. The choir is mixed racially.
Yes.
And there's definitely this sense at the end. It's like a call to action. It's like, do something.
Yes.
Like, if we're going to be united, we have to do something. You need to do something. You know, if you're listening to this, do something.
Right.
That's really where I think that kind of complexity comes from. Is both, this is so sad that we can't even fully respond to it, and we also, that's not enough to just be sad. We have to change it.
That's right. Yeah. Well, it moved me to tears, which, you know, is just another good week on the Betch Brothers.
I have a little Carl crying.
Yes, that's right.
Like, yeah.
Except for it's all stained with my tears. Just through the chalk dust. As I'm experiencing myself in this moment, man, and just thinking about this song, like it feels holy to me, and it feels important, and I'm glad that you shared it with me, and I hope that people hear it and see it, and if there's anything we do with what we're doing here to bring people to music like this, I think it's important.
Yeah.
So thank you, and if you're out there, like, you know, seeing this, and I don't know when that might happen, but I suspect that we have not reached the mountaintop yet, that there's, no matter what has happened, more room to grow and to go. So I encourage anybody who sees this to get active, pray, and do.
For sure.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, yeah. What's next week?
So to wrap it up next week, we're gonna wrap with rap. And I'm gonna do something slightly different for me anyway. So these, a lot of these, I mean, some of them I knew and I wanted to pick from the get-go, certain artists, certain songs. Next week though is all kind of back to basics in terms of, these are all songs from rap artists that I actually listen to. They're in my catalog. They're in my Spotify before we started doing this list. And so it's going to be stuff that's a little bit more like a lot of the stuff we've listened to has become personal to me by finding it. This is stuff that was personal to me beforehand, because honestly, like, rap as a genre is heavily. I mean, it was impossible to pick, like, what are the top 5, you know, rap protest songs. It wasn't possible. So I decided to go in a different route and just go with what are 5 songs that I like from my collection.
Well, yeah, hip hop has always been like the voice of the street, right? So it makes sense.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. I'll talk a little bit about a couple of songs I didn't pick.
Okay. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Thank you as always. Talk soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.